Hey guys, this is Jonathan of Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and right now I got my friend Isaac Jones of Hero Power Wash and Striping. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good, John. How you making out, bro?
I'm making it out good, man. I'm making it out good. So, what today we're going to talk about is just Isaac's experience working with us, how he got into exterior cleaning, and I think it's been about 2 years now, man. So at the time that we're doing this, it's like October 2025, but I think we've been working together for 2 years now.
Yeah, seemed like right at 2 years. You said October, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
probably right at 2 years. I know we going into 2026, so I'm going into year four. So kind of about half of my journey. We've been working together. So
Yeah, man, and we'll talk about how we got connected and all of that here soon. But, before we go on that, man, just kind of tell us about how you got into exterior cleaning, because I know you got the full-time job, driving trucks with that, but tell me how you got into exterior cleaning.
so like I said, back in 2016, I had a pressure washing company. It was called Lion Clean Power Wash or something like that. And I didn't give it a fair shot. I did what everybody else do. Got some yard signs made off of maybe like Vistaprint, some business cards, even some like postcards and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I went door to door, kind of sticking them in the door jam, and I didn't give it enough time to manifest itself. Maybe about 2 or 3 months later, I didn't get any phone calls, and I was like, I kind of gave up on it. And consequently, after that, maybe about 6 months later, some calls start coming in. I'm like, oh man, I don't do that anymore. So it was like a real short turnaround, right?
Yeah.
But fast forward to, um, I guess around 2022, I was at work, kind of just driving down the road. And, as a truck driver, we listen to a lot of all kinds of podcasts, all kinds of information. And I was like, you know what? I might give that another shot, especially because there were some other add-on services that are pretty popular these days. We got Christmas lights, parking lot striping, things of that nature. So it really motivated me to want to get back out there. And it's been good ever since. Started kind of slow when I was working with a different agency. And I hadn't got my bearings about what exactly I needed to do. I knew how to do the work, but I didn't know how to get the customers. I didn't know exactly how to talk to them, how to sell to them, how to express my value to them. But over time and with, like I said, we're working with y'all with having, my website look good and me being able to direct them to my website and they see it. I've gotten compliments. Like somebody asked me one time, like, man, did you buy this company or is it a franchise? And that was a huge compliment to y'all because I immediately was like, no, it's my company. So, along with the branding efforts I've been doing, complimenting it with y'all website that y'all built for me, man, it's been going up since then.
And man, and I really appreciate that. I think the first time we started talking, I don't think we worked together actually like the first time. You know what I mean? Because I was telling you, I was like, dude, you got to hustle, man. And I know that the guys that are listening right now, sometimes they might get offended by that sometimes to where they're like, hey, dude, why are you? Because I'm like, I don't want you guys to get preyed upon by other agencies. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We were talking about
Right.
this earlier before we got on here about like, what are you getting with your SEO? Like, how much of an impact, how much of an ROI are you getting if you're tracking this stuff? And so, I know that you had your head on straight though, because I know you had consumed a lot of content like how we're making right now, like these
Yep.
testimonials, the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna tell them exactly, how it's gonna be. I know you
Right.
just
Right.
liked our conversations, right?
Yeah, man. And like you said, these testimonials, they help out a lot because um I don't know if I had shared it with you, but maybe after you and I had talked, or maybe it was before I decided to reach out. I reached out to one of your customers up in Michigan, in the Michigan area.
Mhm.
What was it? I
Right,
forget the name.
right, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. I reached out to him, and he was like, "Man, it's been good." He was like, "Bro, I be so busy, with the Google ads and everything turned on." He was like, "Sometime I got to turn it off," and that was all I needed to hear. The confirmation from somebody who got it out the mud. Pretty much started from ground zero like me, man. That was pretty much the push that I needed. And like I said, along with just some of the other things that some of the other guys would say on the testimonials, or even with some of the more established companies, a lot of the things that they would say about making sure you're spending enough money, the quality, the amount of money that you're spending will produce a quality outcome with the SEO. So, all of those little things like that kind of help push me over the edge to make the decision.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that because we like when our clients are like educated about the process. Like I like when people ask questions. I like when they do the research on us because that means that they're invested. It's not like one of like those customers that like just do it or just like, hey, just the ones that are the customers that are really easy are the clients. And I don't want anybody to be watching this and being like, I'm gonna give him a hard time because no, we love whenever you guys are already ready to, invest or you've watched that stuff. There's gonna be some guys that you can kind of tell they're just not researching the agencies they're working with. They're just like, I'm gonna go down the list. Okay, these guys didn't work out for 3 months. I'm gonna call these guys. These guys didn't work out after 3 months. And it's like you get in that those people get in that cycle, right? And then you can tell by when you're talking with them on the phone, you're like, this guy right here is just gonna use this for 3 months like that, and then go to the
Yeah,
next person, no matter how good of results that we have, right?
yeah,
That's been good for you. You know what I mean? In terms of us just being direct and saying, this is what's possible in your area, man.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. That transparency helped out a lot because there's agencies all over the place. I remember one time I was doing a job, and it was right next door to a marketing agency in my area, and the guy was kind of coming out taking his trash, and I can tell he kind of wanted to, introduce himself, but I was making like I was extra busy, so
Yeah.
that he wouldn't talk to me. But at the end of the day, it's definitely good to be loyal to people in your community because we kind of keep the money in the community, but at the same time, like I wanted to go where I felt I could get the results. Like I said, I'm in Louisiana, you're down in Florida. I mean, there's a lot of miles in between us, but I mean, the internet makes it small, right? You know what I'm saying? So, immediately once we started working together, I seen a change. Um, the phone calls, and I really enjoyed the what's it called? What converts? Like the tracking thing that you use, and the monthly reporting that you guys send out. I really like that because it shows me the engagement on the website, what people are seeing, what they're doing. It allows me to see it, and also even the like the transcript of the call, right? It allows me to go back and see, okay, how did I communicate with them? Did I let them talk? Did I communicate effectively? All of those little things like that, people don't know because they haven't given you an opportunity. So, I mean, that's been my experience with thus far. And the time flew, and that's another thing because the way the way that your team helps out with everything that you got going on, it allows me to be very hands off, focus on working, focus on getting the customers and keeping them happy. That those 2 years flew by and I really didn't even notice it. So that's
No,
crazy.
shout out to my team. They're really good. I know that they really care about you guys and they're always following up and doing different things like that, sending out the reports. And one thing that I always tell people is that we have to be able to quantify, what's happening, right? And so when I tell people they're like, hey, I got no tracking, so I don't know what's happening, right, on my stuff. And trust me, there's spam calls that come through because how do these bot people or spammers find you? Through your
Hmm.
Google Business profile. And so it's
Right.
if we're tracking the calls on the Google Business profile, of course, because we have some clients that are like, yo, man, ever since I started using you guys, I started getting way more spam calls. And it's like, were you still getting spam calls before us? They're like, yeah, I was getting a lot, but what converses? There's so many. I'm like, dude, we're just tracking all the calls now. So those people
Mhm.
were calling you, we just weren't tracking that number beforehand, right? And
Yeah.
but yeah, we want to quantify like what's happening in there. Like we want to quantify like is this client getting calls? Can they justify paying us in that sense? Because trust me, I'll be the first one to say like, damn, we did not hold
Right.
our end of the bargain. You know what I mean? If that were the case, right? So it's been a pleasure working with you, man. My team loves working with you. You've been very easy to work with, and so you've
Thank you.
all understanding. You're very good at like listening to some of our suggestions and what we want to go ahead and do. And yeah,
Yeah.
man, my team loves working with you.
And it's been a pleasure too. And one of the things, like you said, with the suggestions, right? So, like for instance, my area, Slidell, very small, like you said, maybe 25, 30,000 people. The suggestions that you had given me outside of like the Google ads and stuff like that, that's important because a lot of companies say, oh man, just throw $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 at Google ads and you're gonna crush it. And that's not always the case, as you said, depending on the density in your area. So, what I've been doing along with my, I guess off internet efforts, the yard signs, the cold calls, all of those things work together. But the main thing, like I said, once I get that customer and they get to the website, then they're just kind of blown away like, man, is this a franchise? How long you been doing this? They got all of these questions. And it's almost like anything else, right? I remember recently I was um I was looking at I was on like a website where you can buy like different marketing pieces and things like that, and
Mhm.
I was already sold off of just the way that the website looked. The
Mhm.
website did all the selling for me, and that's the same thing the website that you guys did for me. It sells for me, so they've already convinced themselves. They've already imagined me doing the work. So my job is easy at that point. As long as we agree on the price, the ball gets rolling. So that's what I really like about what y'all have done so far.
I appreciate that. And you said something critical and key because I think what ends up happening with a lot of guys is that, for example, and they if they're watching this, they know who they are. There's this $2 million business that we've been trying to close up in Canada, right? Where they
Hmm.
and when I talk to these guys, because every year they hit me up and
Yeah.
every year
Yes,
they hit
sir.
me up. But their website was made back in 2018, so about
Okay.
7 years ago. But it's from 2000 even from even 2018 standards, it looks like a 2015, 2013 website, right?
Mm.
Biggest concern is that we're gonna lose rankings if we get a new website and all of that. And of course, we know how to mitigate that, because that's
Right.
what we do, right?
That's
But
right.
I think one thing that they also have is that I don't think they understand it because the same thing. I need to fix my sunroof on one of my cars, right? And the
Yep.
thing about it is that like even for me going through that process, I saw like not only did I go to the reviews, but there was two companies I was choosing. And people
Hmm.
might be able to say like, "Well, you're a business owner. That's how you are." But no, it was actually because it was instinctual. When I looked at the sunroof thing, both of them had pretty much the same amount of reviews. They were kind of both 5 stars, but then
Yep.
one website was like, they looked like they just didn't really care about it at all. And then the
Right.
other
Right. Right.
website, these guys had like, you could like test, like they had this interactive tool on it. They had all of this stuff. And I was like, these guys probably care about this stuff. They're probably ahead of the curve when it comes to this. I'm gonna go ahead and give these guys a call before I give this other company. Don't get me wrong, I was still giving the other company a chance, but I
Yeah.
just gave this other company a chance first, and they knocked it out the park. And so I think that guys underestimate, right, the conversion elements of that because it makes you seem more professional. Even if you just change your website, it doesn't like even if you just change the look of it, like it just becomes more professional, whatever it may be, that's gonna entice people to go ahead and buy. So you're right. You're right. Because even if you keep the same rankings,
Yeah.
the same rankings, but get a better website, and then all of a sudden, if you have 100 visitors to your website every single month, and let's say you had a 3% conversion rate for your website, but you double that, right? You get double the amount of customers. Or even if you
Yeah.
had a 5% conversion rate on your website and you double that, you know what I mean?
Hey, look, you're absolutely right about this website. As you were talking, I started thinking about a time that I was out door knocking, right? Commercial door knocking. And I went to this company that I guess they build like sets for movies and things of that nature. It's like a whole bunch of fake staging equipment in there. And anyway, I was able to find the manager or whomever was running the building, and we talking. He's like, "Hey man, come in my office." So I went into his office, and he's like, "Hey, let me pull up your website." So he pulled up my website, and it was the website I had before working with you. And he's kind of going through it, and he was like, "Is this it?" I was like, "Yeah." So he was like, he said, "Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice." He was like, "Look, I think you should redo your website." So he showed me his website that he had built. It's like a Squarespace kind of website, that whole platform or whatever. And I guess he was telling me that I could do it and that it was easy. And I'm looking at him like, dude, I don't know how to do none of this stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I definitely need to hire somebody else. If you're telling me as a potential customer, you're giving me more than just your money at this point because you're telling me, hey, listen, this website is not going to make me buy. But if you go and tweak it, do something to it or whatever, then you may be able to get my business and other people's business. Now, I've never went back to that customer. I've never made money with them. But that little piece of information that he had given me, in turn, I came to work with you, got a new website. So I've made tens of thousands of more dollars off of your website than I would have made working with him just from the little bit of advice that he had given me. So, I mean, that was powerful enough. And it came to my head when you was talking. I said, wow, I remember this time. This was like 2 years ago when that happened. So, look, I would encourage anybody.
Yeah, you judge a book by its cover, right? You judge a book by its cover. So it's one
Right.
of those things that you look at and it's inevitable. I mean, that's your online presence. Like when people like if you put out a yard sign, because I don't think people understand when you put out a yard sign, right?
Hmm.
When you have your branded trucks or whatever that you're going off, people
Hmm.
aren't going to say, let me go. And even if you do have your website URL, they might take a picture of it. But the
Yeah.
first thing every person does, they're not going to just be like, oh, I'm going to call these guys. I
Yeah.
say, I say that's 10 to 15% of the market. But what
Hmm.
majority of people are going to do is they're going to take a picture of the truck, whatever it may be, go back to their
Yeah.
photo and say, what? They're going to Google that company because they're going
Yeah.
to Google it, look at the reviews, and then guess
Hmm.
what? They're going to go to your website. So, like, whether you're doing boots on the ground marketing or you're putting out yard signs, people are going to Google who you are or they're going to Google your phone number. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that phone number is attached to your Google business profile and all of your online presence. And so,
Yeah.
I want to make sure all of that's dialed in. So, I like how you said that, man. Is there anything else you'd want to share about, like, just in general, about, like, not doesn't have to be about working with us, but just in general?
Um, I mean, not necessarily. I'm sure once we get off of here, I'm gonna think of everything. Be like, oh, let me call Jonathan back. But nah, I mean, just this entrepreneurial thing. When you have the right people helping you, it gets easy. And then you're just gonna kind of go to the next hurdle. But the things that I don't know how to do, I have people doing for me. I have people help me with those things. And this SEO, this online presence stuff, I couldn't think of a better company to have worked with thus far based off the results that I got, the customer service that you guys offer, the way that you're able to communicate your quality and your value to prospective customers and even me. So I mean, I don't really have nothing else to add. Like I said, I'm sure once we get off here, I'm gonna think of everything.
No, man, you're good. You're good. I think this is a great conversation, man. And so I really appreciate you, Isaac. I'm talking. I really appreciate you, Isaac. You know what I mean, for going ahead and joining today. So yeah, man, I know you're a busy guy,
Yeah,
myself, and so yeah, go ahead and crush those two estimates that you got today, man. All right.
man, I appreciate that.
And if you guys have any questions, like I said, leave them in the description or below. And you guys obviously know there's Isaac right here. He wrote Power Wash and Striping with that other kind of stuff. If you guys reach out to him, like how he did with other people as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah, man. Call
inside,
me, shoot me a text. You know what I'm saying? If I don't
yeah,
answer,
yeah,
definitely text me. Let me know who you are, cause like I said, with the SEO, man, the phone be blowing up. All kinds of people be calling. So just if I don't answer, man, just shoot me a text. All right.
yep. So thank you so much. And like I said, thank you guys for watching. We'll definitely see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
All right, John.